great to have you with us, Governor. Bring us up to speed on exactly where you are in terms of vaccination in Alaska.
Well, it's great to be here, David. So we're at about 39%, almost 40% of our 16 plus that have had a first dose. In some parts of our state, we have upwards of close to 80 to 90% of our population vaccinated. And we continue to roll out the vaccines. We are one of the leaders in getting the vaccine out. Again, I think we've managed this virus as well as any state, and that's a testament to our people. A lot of folks had written us off. A lot of folks, when this pandemic started, thought that Alaska was going to get hit extremely hard. And that's understandable, given what happened in 1918 with the Spanish flu. Outside of Samoa, our Alaska Native population in 1918 got hit harder than any other population on the planet. And so when this pandemic descended upon the country, the world, and Alaska, we made it a point early on to ensure that our most vulnerable, Alaska Native population, our seniors, our elders, those with underlying health conditions, early on we protected those folks, and we set up a system and systems to be able to address the issues. And so when the vaccine arrived, and again I want to thank President Trump for that. Operation Warp Speed, as you remember, was a year ago, February, when he said there'd be a vaccine within a year. I think a lot of people dismissed that. But we were setting up in anticipation of that vaccine. We have systems in place, and we've had systems in place here in Alaska to deal with vaccinations, for example, with the flu. And so when the vaccine came on the horizon, we worked with our partners at the local level, especially our tribes. We do have the highest American Native population as a percent of population, 15%. And we have about 229 recognized tribes. Worked with them very closely, worked with our senior centers, our senior care centers. We have the highest per capita of veterans that live here in the state of Alaska, worked with those folks as well. And so in the end, we're feeling pretty good where we are with the vaccinations. We believe that we'll reach herd immunity here in a few months if we keep going at this rate. And quite frankly, right now, we feel Alaska's in pretty good shape.
It really is an encouraging report, and congratulations. I hope it keeps going that way. You had a visitor recently in the Secretary of State, as well as some colleagues from China, to visit with him up in Alaska. As I understand, you did get to talk to him on the telephone. What did you talk to Tony Blinken about?
We just, we talked to him about our, for example, our issues with oil and gas production. Alaska produces its oil and gas probably better than any other place on the planet. We don't flare our gas. We, when it comes to a carbon footprint, we are probably it's a large state, but when it comes to the carbon footprint, we're pretty small. And so we wanted to share that with the Secretary of State. We also talked about our rare earths and our minerals up here in Alaska. We have 30 out of 35 of the rare minerals and critical rare earths, and that we wanted to do our part to be part of the solution. As we look at China's potential ascendancy, and we are the furthest western state, so we stick out in the Pacific Ocean, so we're at the point for North America and for America. We wanted to make the case that if you're going to look for rare earths, you don't have to look in other countries. You can do it here in America. And if we can protect our supply chain, and if we can even produce or create and put together another smelter here in America, hopefully in Alaska, we have an opportunity to have a complete closed chain here in the country so that our national security issues are dealt with, getting our rare earths and our coppers, for example, for the future economy based upon electricity and batteries and electrical storage. We're well poised for this, David, here in Alaska, as America is. And so these were some of the things that we talked about in terms of trying to make America stronger, trying to make Alaska stronger.
On the oil and gas front, as I understand, you've joined with some other governors to sue the Biden administration about drilling on federal lands. Tell us about that.
Well, we have a national wildlife refuge in called ANWR, and there's a section of ANWR called the 1002 that was always open for gas and oil exploration and lease sales. Under the Trump administration, that occurred. Lease sales were put out and bid on, and when the Biden administration came in, they put a stop to that. And we do believe that was a violation of the law by which those lease sales were put into place. So naturally, we want to see those lease sales go through so we can get the benefits of more oil in our pipeline, jobs, revenue, And so we are trying to have discussions with the Biden administration. It's difficult. We've been reaching out. We did have a conversation with Secretary of State Blinken for a few minutes, but nonetheless, we want to make the case that we should be following our laws. We, as we transition to other types of energy production, such as renewables, we're not going to leave oil and gas behind. It's going to be a mainstay for some time. And again, Alaska has the opportunity to be part of that mix. And so we're going to be probably, unfortunately, filing a number of lawsuits, and in conjunction with other states, Louisiana, Wyoming, Montana, other resource-producing states, because we believe that by just shutting us down, we lose those opportunities. Those opportunities go overseas. The jobs go overseas. The revenue goes overseas. The wealth goes overseas. And quite frankly, it doesn't make us a stronger country if we're going overseas and relying on others. So I think we do it better here in America. We certainly do it better in Alaska. And this is the message that we want to get across to the Biden administration.
President Biden has said his green program actually will create a lot of good-paying jobs because of the move away from fossil fuels. Go back to the rare earths, because if we're going to go electrical, for example, with our automobiles, we're going to need those rare earths. As you say, China sort of has an advantage. Do you have any sense that the Biden administration might actually be willing to invest, particularly as we talk about build back better in infrastructure, maybe in the smelter situation?
Well, I hope so. There was a report, I think, in Reuters a few weeks ago that was somewhat concerning, and that was that there were quiet discussions going on with Canada. And don't get me wrong, we appreciate our neighbor for us, it's to the east. But we have those same opportunities here in America. We have those same opportunities here in in Alaska. Why not invest in Alaska? Why not invest in America and take advantage of those rare earths, the minerals, the metals that we have, and again, have a complete logistic chain here in the United States where we can explore it, we can develop it, produce it, process it, and turn it into a final product. That's going to make us a stronger country. That's going to keep the jobs here. That's going to keep the wealth here. So I hope the Biden administration understands that the green economy, the green energy that they're looking forward to isn't going to happen tomorrow. It's not going to happen next week. And so we need to be producing our oil and our gas at the same time we're working on some of these other renewables and green energy. But it all really should center around America and what America has to offer to itself.
Governor, let me try to sneak in one quick one here at the end, and that is about your neighbor to the east, as you just referred to Canada. You got a big border there. Do you have any prospect of really getting that fully open again?
Boy, we hope so. And we hope that by virtue of Alaska being a leader in vaccinations and hopefully putting this pandemic behind us sooner than later, we can get that border open. I mean, the Canadians are great neighbors. They're our only land-based neighbor, quite frankly, and we've had great relationships with them since the possession of Alaska and when it became a state. But we're in discussions with the Canadians. We're in discussions with Canadian officials, and we're always going to be optimistic and hopeful, but it's been tough. It's been a tough year. We don't want to see another year like this. We've lost our cruise ships last year. It's not looking good this year, but we're going to keep plugging away at it. We're going to try and make our case with our friends, the Canadians, and hopefully we'll get at least some parts of our border open so we can get traffic in and out, and we can have a tourism industry this summer.
Well, we all wish you well. Thank you so much, Alaska Governor Mike Dunleavy.